London, 1666, a city of timber houses, narrow lanes, and constant risk. It began in the early hours of September 2nd, in a baker's shop on Pudding Lane. A stray spark, a forgotten ember, and within minutes, flame spreads fast, hungrily feeding on dry wood, thatched roofs, and the late summer wind. Panicked cries wake the city. Buckets of water tossed up narrow stairways. But Londoners quickly realize this is no ordinary fire. By dawn, the flames are uncontrollable. They leap from house to house, devouring entire streets. Samuel Pepys, the famous diarist, watches helplessly as the city he knows is transformed into a hellish landscape. People grab what they can: bundles of clothes, children, treasured possessions stuffed into carts and boats. The River Thames becomes a lifeline, if you can reach it. The Lord Mayor delays, uncertain, then overwhelmed. It's King Charles II himself who rides into the chaos and orders houses pulled down to create fire breaks. But for many, it's already too late. The medieval city, the great heart of trade and culture, almost unchanged for centuries, is shattered. By the time the flames die down on September 6th, 4 days later, over 13,000 houses, 87 churches, St. Paul's Cathedral, and countless businesses have vanished. Yet, in all the devastation, the official death toll is astonishingly low, fewer than 10 recorded. Though many may have perished unseen, the true number lost. But what led to this disaster? London was a city cramped with wooden buildings, most without chimneys, and open flames were everywhere. Candles, ovens, fireplaces. The summer had been hot and dry, leaving wood tinder-ready. The perfect fuel. But there's another twist. The authorities blamed foreigners, especially French and Dutch residents, as England was at war with both nations. Rumors of arson led to violence, and mobs attacked outsiders, deepening the tragedy. The fire was finally stopped when winds shifted, and firefighters, using gunpowder, demolished whole rows of buildings as desperate fire breaks. Amid the smoking ruins, London faced not just hunger and homelessness, but a fundamental choice. Should the city be rebuilt as it was, or transformed completely? Christopher Wren, the renowned architect, dreamed of turning London into a modern European city. Grand avenues, squares, and stone buildings that would rival Paris and Rome. His blueprints were bold, but Parliament chose a practical route. Rebuilding quickly, with some new regulations using more brick and stone and wider streets. The old network of winding alleys was partly straightened, but much of the medieval street plan survived. Still, a new St. Paul's Cathedral rose out of the ashes, a Baroque masterpiece and symbol of London's resilience. Fire insurance companies were born, using teams of firemen and metal marks on buildings to protect their clients. A fire code banned thatch, mandated thicker walls, and wider streets meant future fires would not leap so easily from home to home. But did the fire really save London from something even worse? Only a year before, the plague had swept the city, killing thousands in cramped, unsanitary neighborhoods. Some historians believe the Great Fire helped halt the outbreak, burning away the flea-ridden, disease-infested slums. A city laid waste by fire, reborn with brick and ambition. The scars of 1666 remade London's future, but some mysteries persist. How many truly died? Did the fire's origins truly lie with a sleepy baker, or has something been lost in the smoke of legend? Stand in London today, and underfoot, old Roman walls, medieval cellars, and fire-blackened stones remind us the city is built on layers of resilience. Without that fire, London would be unrecognizable. A city shaped by destruction, but also by the ingenuity and unity of those who rebuilt it. Ashes to ambition, despair to determination. The Great Fire's legacy, that every city must reinvent itself, and from disaster, new beginnings will always rise. Curious how Londoners continue to face disaster and renewal? Stay tuned, because the city's history is far from finished.